Hello everyone and welcome to this video and welcome to this YouTube channel. And this video is actually the first one on this channel, so welcome, and I really hope that you will enjoy this video and the ones to come, if there are going to be any other videos. Well, today I am sharing with you a process of how I make digital art, and in this case I've created a painting of Paul Atreides from DUNE, and it is played by Timothée Chalamet, as probably most of you already know and have noticed by the side pic on my digital canvas. So I've decided to make this video and film the process because I am now finally feeling quite confident with how I make my digital artworks, because before I wasn't really sure and I used different techniques and different steps each time that I made a new digital painting. So now that I'm feeling quite confident with the whole process, I thought that it could be somewhat educational and maybe helpful for other painters that are just starting with digital art, or maybe, maybe you're just watching this to have some fun and look at how people do these things. And that's also amazing. And thank you very much for being here. So, and I also wanted to maybe talk about some random stuff and about the movie, of course, since I really, really enjoyed it, and that's the reason to why I am making this video and making this painting in the first place. At first, I didn't want to draw anything from Dune because I was like, oh, well, now everyone is going to make paintings of Dune, of the characters, of the locations, or something inspired by the book itself, maybe not the movie, because since now it's the mainstream, I thought that I wouldn't go with it. I wouldn't go with the mainstream, but I made up my mind, I changed my mind, and now here we are, because I thought, well, what is it that is so bad about being in the mainstream? If you genuinely enjoy the movie, if you genuinely enjoy the book, if you genuinely enjoy the whole aesthetics, why not improving your skills and maybe making it, a fun thing for others to enjoy watching this video, to enjoy the painting. I don't know, why not? So yeah, I just decided to be a bit more open-minded and not be as closed in my standards. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the movie, since I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the whole aesthetic, the whole visuals. The visuals are amazing in this movie, as is the score and the actors, the choice of the actors. I think they made an absolute incredible job at all of these things. And actually, I read some reviews of other people online, and I've heard some other people talking about the movie, and some didn't really enjoy the movie because they said it was too slow, or maybe the plot wasn't very understandable. It was hard to comprehend. But I totally understand it, because the book is quite complex, and representing it in the form of a movie, it is also, it's always quite hard, But also the thing that I think is kind of hard to understand for some people is that there are movies that are action-oriented, movies that just have a faster pace and everything, but then there are also movies that are slow burners, and that is the case of Dune, as is the case of all other Denis Villeneuve's films. That's the director's name. I'm really sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of taste, and for me personally, this movie represented really well the whole atmosphere of how this world should feel, because it actually, it is a sci-fi movie, right? But it kind of feels like a historical movie. So yes, I actually really liked it, and I understood the story because I read the book, but I didn't finish reading the book. I stopped at a certain point because I discovered it quite a short time before the movie came out, and I went to see it. So I didn't really have the time to read the book entirely. But well, anyway, I think that for understanding this movie and understanding fully what is going on, you just have to be quite familiar with the story before you go to see the movie. And now I want to move on to the next part of the conversation and talk a little bit about the drawing itself and what I used, what program, and well, basically answering some questions that might already appear in your minds. And so I make digital paintings. All of my digital paintings that you can see on my Instagram, all of them are made on my iPad in an app called Sketchbook. And I have to mention it. I draw with my finger. I don't have a stylus because my iPad is very old. It's like an iPad 2, I think. So I've had it for 10 years now. Yeah, and it's still alive, which I'm just very surprised by. So yeah, because I draw with my finger, that's the reason to why you might see that, the picture that you're seeing on the screen, it's always like jumping, it's jumping around, it's moving, it's trembling, because I move the canvas very often to make it easier for me to draw, because you see, if I wouldn't make the picture smaller and bigger and, just move it around, I wouldn't be able to really draw it properly, and I wouldn't be able to make it as detailed or anything. Yeah, and also in the middle of the process, I kind of understood that having a reference picture at the canvas itself wasn't efficient enough for me. So now, as you can see, I've removed the pictures from my canvas, and from this moment on, I've used my references, looking at them on my phone while drawing on the iPad, because it was just making the process even more difficult, because I had to, always just make the picture smaller and bigger and smaller and bigger, going from one place to another, looking at the picture, then looking at what I'm doing and trying to copy it, and oh my god. So it was quite frustrating, and it was a mistake in a sense to start the drawing like this, but at the same time it wasn't. You just learn in the process, and I actually kind of like that in this video you can see how mistakes are made and how we make this progress, like tiny little progress, every time that we do something new. And so yes, when you start to become familiar with the whole thing with digital art, I think it gets much easier and the process becomes much faster. I used to spend a lot of hours, a lot of time and effort on making each one of my paintings. It took me a lot of time, and now it takes way, way shorter. This painting in particular, I've made it in about 5 hours. It took me about 5 hours, but it's not an exact number since I didn't count the time. I'm assuming by the length of the video, the sped up process and all of that. So yes, before it would have taken me about twice as much time. Also, I want to address now the fact that I'm absolutely not a professional artist, and I make a lot of mistakes. My paintings are still far from perfection, far from what I would really like them to look like, and I'm just, in the process of learning and developing, but I don't think, before I used to think that if I am not a professional, if I'm not like a genius in drawing, I shouldn't probably be sharing how I do it, and I probably shouldn't even be sharing my paintings at all because they are not as good as I would like them to be. But now I'm kind of shifting my perspective, and I've heard this quote from some other painter on YouTube. I was watching one of those speed paint videos, and the painter there said that you don't have to be perfect at doing something. You just have to be a few steps ahead of the ones that you are trying to teach. And it's not like I'm trying to teach you by making this video and making you look at the process. Maybe not, maybe yes. It's your choice whether you want to take something out of this video. And having heard that quote, I really started to shift my perspective and my point of view. And I think it's helpful, and I think it's a very nice way of seeing it, that, no one will ever become perfect. And if you just don't start doing anything about your skills, about the things you want to do, just because you are not good enough, you might as well never start doing anything. So I stopped being so afraid of failure, so afraid of not being perfect, and here I am making the voiceover for this video. And also what made me realize that I better start doing the thing that I wanted to do for quite a long time was the fact that I've talked to a lot of people in real life of my age, maybe a bit younger, maybe a bit older, that are also learning to draw. And many people asked me, like, how do you draw so well? Although I don't think that I really draw as well, but for some people, because it's a more elevated skill level than this, they already think that it's something amazing, it's something cool. And I, each time that people say that they like the way I draw and that I'm a good painter, I get really excited and really happy, and it only makes me want to improve more and go forward with it. So I really want to thank everyone of those people who always supported me and told me that my paintings were actually good. It is what keeps me moving forward and liking this whole thing. Well, not only that, it's an innate desire and passion that I've had my entire life for art and drawing, and also writing and other things. But well, let's not talk about this in this video. And now we are already kind of far into the video, but I wanted to go back to the start a little bit and talk about the whole process so I can explain to you, to the ones that want to learn something from this video. So I always start by finding references if I'm making something based on something that already exists. Because sometimes I do make drawings of just people from my imagination. I have a lot of those drawings. I sometimes make drawings of the characters from the book that I'm now writing, and many times these characters are just, they appear in my head, and according to my own description or my own image in my own head, I make the painting. But in this case, as we are drawing a real life person, a character from a movie, you obviously need to find some references first, and never stop at just finding one reference, because you might need further in the process to look at other photos, other perspectives. Maybe some photos have the good perspective that you need in your drawing, but others have the texture, like a better quality of the photo, where you can look at the texture and try to copy it more appropriately. And once you find your references, since it's a digital drawing, you don't have to be as precise with your composition, which for me it's a huge advantage of digital art, because sometimes we all mess a little bit with the composition. So you can change it later, and when you learn I think it's a very good feature of digital art and its opportunities. So then I determine, looking at my reference, what are the basic shapes that I see, the basic lines that I see. So I make an outline. It's very rough. It doesn't have to be super precise. The point here is to actually try to copy what you see and not what you feel like you should be seeing. Because, we as humans kind of invent ourselves some standards, and we think that, well, if it's a face, it should be this and that, and it should have this and that shapes, and it should be more symmetrical that I'm seeing it on the picture or whatever. But actually, it is all wrong, and it's what is holding you back, kind of, because if you see a face as a face, you might commit the mistakes of not putting the shadows where they actually need to be. You might miss some very important things. So don't try to be right according to your own vision. As a human, try to copy it as a robot would do. Don't mind that it's a face, because if you're drawing a face or if you're drawing a landscape, it's all the same. It's just shapes, forms, and colors. That's it. And once I started to see everything in that light, it has made my drawings experience much easier and faster. So after determining the basic shapes and making the layout, I go in with the shadow and the light, and I again make it very rough and quite fast, and just go for it. Don't be afraid of making it very extreme, very grotesque, because later on you will smooth it out as I do, and it will turn out just right. Don't be afraid. And again, since it is digital, you can experiment a lot without the fear of losing your progress, because you can always go back, you can always erase things easily. Yeah. And then I start to work with the color. I choose a base color. In this case, as it is a portrait, I choose the base color of the skin. I might switch it later on. I might change it up a little bit. And then I smooth out all those rough lines that don't look natural at all, that are just, the sketch, a part of the sketch. And then I start going in with more details, with smaller shadows and lights and accents and all of that. And I also begin to change up the things that kind of feel wrong or look wrong. Maybe I've made some mistakes, and I make mistakes all the time. I mean, sometimes the proportions, I don't get them quite right. Sometimes the colors are not right. I really struggle with colors, actually. I think it's the most painful thing for me, choosing the right colors and using them well on anything that I'm drawing. And I also have quite a weird approach when drawing portraits, because I first concentrate normally on the face and I make it detailed. I make it like an already made painting, and only after that I make it smaller. I adjust it to the size of the canvas, I adjust it to the environment, and I make the rest of the things. But that only happens when I make drawings of real life people, of using references. When I don't, I kind of already determine everything in the beginning sketch, in the layout. And also, I must say that before, when I was just getting into the digital art world, I was very afraid of making my shadows and lights. I was making the shadows too light and the lights too, they didn't have color. And as you can see in this drawing is very opaque. It doesn't have much color. It's very muted. But that was the intention. And you can, anyway, even in such a muted color palette, you can see that I'm adding a little a tiny bit of color in the shadows, and maybe I'm even using some tones that are not actually in my references and are not actually visible to the eye, but they add a little contrast, they add a little something that spices up the whole drawing. Also, I want to say something about the detailing, because I still a lot of times commit the mistake of making the details too small, of over detailing the whole painting. And sometimes I regret it because it is not seeable in the final result. So yeah, that's a mistake that you want to try to avoid. And it doesn't mean that you have to avoid all the details and all of that, but what I would suggest is concentrate on the center of your composition. Focus on the center of what you are trying to draw, and there is where you're gonna want to make all your details happen and develop and make it all beautiful and very well worked. But then when you go to the background, for example, be a bit more free with it. Just have more fun with the big scale, use the bigger scale. And also, to avoid this problem with over detailing, I found out that for me it is very helpful to just step back and look at the drawing from a further distance. And this way I can see whether some things do work out and others just don't. And this way I can see how I'm progressing, if everything's right, if the painting has depth. For example, you will see that at a certain point I realized that the suit lacked depth, and because of that I wanted to darken a little bit some shapes and make the shadows a bit more intense and a bit more dramatic, and add some other colors that are lighter in the highlights. So again, it adds some perspective to the whole thing. And yeah, don't be afraid, really, because I've spent so much time of my life living in fear of many different things, and in drawing it has also affected me and my progress. And if you try and step out of your comfort zone without fear, it will definitely help you improve. So my number one suggestion would be, don't draw something that you've already done before. Although I do it because some things are just soothing for me and relaxing, and I enjoy drawing certain things, and because of that I repeat drawing them over and over again. But if you have the opportunity, if you find something interesting that you could practice with, go for it. Don't be afraid, and step out of your comfort zone and experiment with the colors, with the scale, with the details, with the themes, with the atmosphere, with everything basically, and add your own little touches to everything that you do. And I am sure that you can improve your art, you can draw better, and you can do it. Even if you think that you're not talented enough, that's a lie. Everyone is talented, everyone can develop their skills. So I'm sure that you will get better and better. Just practice and go for it. And we are coming to the end of the video, and now you will see the final result. I really hope you liked this video, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.